Hi guys, and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new, welcome. My name is Crystal, and today I'm going to be sharing 5 simple dinner ideas. Of course, any videos that I do mention will be in the description. If you guys want to keep watching more of these What's for Dinners, I do have a playlist that you guys can check out. I will put it in the description as well as pinned in the comments. If you guys enjoyed today's What's for Dinner, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. For more videos like this, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and also feel free to share this video with your friends and family. Okay, so let's get started with this week's What's for Dinner. So starting off the week, I have a pot full of water and I let that come to a boil. I'm going to start by adding 9 chicken legs, and then I also added 2 extra thighs. You can make this chicken mole with legs or a whole chicken. And then to this, I'm going to add 3 garlic cloves, salt, and 1/3 of a white onion. And I'm going to let this cook for about 40 minutes. And I'm going to be using the chicken and also the broth to make my rice and also the mole sauce. Mole is a Mexican chicken dish. It comes with this brown sauce that has a lot of flavor. The best way to describe it, it is sweet and spicy, but it's not too sweet. It just has tons of flavor, and of course different Mexican families make it very, very different. So here, after the 40 minutes, I pulled out all the chicken, and this is my broth that I'm going to be using to make my rice. So once the chicken is fully cooked, I'm going to start by making my mother-in-law's famous Mexican rice. And to this pot, I start by adding a little bit of oil. I do have about 2 cups of rice. The rice that I'm using is jasmine rice, and I've noticed that jasmine rice tends to take a little bit longer to toast up, but pretty much we just want this nice and golden brown. A little bit darker is even perfect. It really makes the rice give it a whole different flavor. And then I'm going to be adding garlic powder. The last time that I saw my mother-in-law make the Mexican rice, I noticed that she switched it up and she adds garlic powder, and this really makes a big difference. And then also black pepper. You can use fresh garlic and fresh tomatoes to your Mexican red rice, but the way she makes it is very simple. Now I have a can, I believe it's 15 ounces. I'm going to be using half of that tomato sauce to flavor our Mexican red rice. And I'm going to save the other half for the mole sauce. So I'm just adding that. And then since I do have that chicken broth, I'm going to be adding 4 cups of chicken broth, and of course I want that chicken broth to be hot. That is one of my mother-in-law's other little tricks. She is really well known for her Mexican red rice, but she told me the trick to it is that you have to add hot water. In this case, I did have chicken broth, so that gave it a lot of flavor, but it still needed a little bit of this chicken bouillon de Nor Suiza. This is my favorite brand. I believe I only added about 3 teaspoons, but go ahead and add as much or as little as you want. I always taste the food as I go, and like that I know if I want to add a little bit more. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to put it on the lid, and then I'm going to let the rice cook for 20 minutes on a low heat, and this is what it looks like. I put it to the side, and the rice is fully cooked, and Jorge, my husband, approved. When he approves the Mexican red rice, I get so happy because it looks so beautiful and it was delicious. So now moving with the blender, I'm going to be adding half of a tomato, 1/4 of an onion, and then I'm going to be adding 2 cups of the chicken broth that I reserved on the side. I'm gonna blend this. So I do want to say that many people cook and make their mole very, very different. I feel like each different family will make it different, so there's not gonna be one mole that's gonna taste the same. But this recipe is my mother-in-law's and I love it. I've tried other moles and I just thought I didn't like it until I tried my mother-in-law's recipe. And also it's one of the easiest. It's one of Jorge's favorite Mexican dish, so I like that I can make it at home for him. So here to this pan, I'm going to be adding about 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, and once it melts, I'm going to add the juice that I blended, which was the 2 cups of chicken broth, the 1/4 of an onion, and then half of a tomato. So I'm going to add that in here as I'm doing like so, and then I'm going to pop the lid on for about 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, it is now boiling. I'm going to be adding the half of the can of the tomato sauce, the other half that we used from the rice. I'm going to use the other half that I didn't use. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give everything a good mix. I'm going to pop the lid back on and I'm going to let this cook for an additional 5 minutes. And while this cooks for the additional 5 minutes, we're going to go back to the blender and we're going to be adding we're going to get a little bit of help. This mole isn't from scratch, but I'm going to be using this mole called Rogelio Bueno. And I pick it up at our Mexican grocery store. There's different brands, but the taste just tastes different. This is the brand that my mother-in-law likes, so if you want to screenshot it, go ahead. And I find it at most Mexican stores. And then I'm going to be adding 1 cup of chicken broth, but you can always add more or less depending on what you prefer. And then I'm going to be adding the whole mole sauce. As you can see, it is very, very thick. The smell is very, very amazing. So this is concentrated. It has tons of spices and flavor. Most mole is made with like chocolate and nuts and different ingredients, but this one is just a quick little help from the store, and it is so good and so much flavor. And like I said, it smells amazing, but I promise you won't taste the chocolate. And then to sweeten it up, a lot of people add different things. My mother-in-law keeps it very simple and just adds a tablespoon of sugar, which is something that I really like because you can't taste it as much and it doesn't overpower the sauce. So then now I'm gonna give everything a good mix with the blender, and then once that is done, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. I'm going to add it to the pot with the butter and the tomato sauce that we had cooking for 5 minutes. I'm going to add it to there. Ooh, a little sauna action with that steam. It's like free while you're cooking. Anyways, I'm just being silly, sorry. So I'm going to be adding the sauce, and then I'm going to be giving everything a good mix. And pretty much this is almost done. I'm just going to let this boil for about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to start adding the chicken. And just like that, you have easy, delicious, simple chicken mole. And I just plated up and you guys will see that right now. So this step is optional, but I ended up adding 1 more cup of chicken broth to the blender just to get whatever was left over from the mole sauce. I didn't want nothing to go to waste. Like I said, that is totally optional, but I added that to the mole sauce. With all the chicken back in, I do put the lid on and let it cook for an additional 5 minutes, and now it is ready to serve. We serve this with our Mexican rice that we made, and then you can have this with tortillas. You can have flour tortillas, you can have corn tortillas. My in-laws and my husband, they really enjoy having a chile serrano on the side, and they'll cut it like in fourths, and they'll dip it in like lemon and salt, and they have it like that. It's really delicious, and I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. This is from my mother-in-law and always made with lots of love. One of my husband's favorite Mexican dish, and this is what we had for dinner on this day. This is my husband's plate, and of course he loves adding the mole sauce on top, so I added that to his plate for dinner. And then with the rest of the chicken broth, I ended up making some sopa fideo that my mother-in-law requested. During this time she wasn't feeling good, so I made that and we took that to her, a big pot so she can have for dinner and also for lunch. And it was so good with that chicken broth, and I just made plenty for her and my father-in-law. This is what it looks like served up, because I did serve one of my girls some soup. If you guys wanted that video, I'll link it down below, how to make this Mexican fideo soup. And then for dessert, we ended up making the cinnamon rolls. We did not make these from scratch. We got a little bit of help from the Pillsbury cinnamon roll cans. We made enough for all of us and also for my father-in-law and my brother-in-law. So on this day, I made Polka kielbasa sausage with pineapple. I make it with steamed rice and veggies. It's one of my girls' favorite dinners. They ask for it pretty often. I have shared a video on how I make this, so I will link it down below. And this was dinner on this day. So I did mention on a previous What's for Dinner that I did purchase these chicken wings from Costco, and I was going to be sharing different recipes with you guys. I've made some salt and pepper ones. I'll link that video down below if you guys are interested. Today we are making honey habanero barbecue wings, and I'm going to start. I have about 30 wings. In this bowl I had about 25. I started by adding the Lori seasoning salt. I also added some black pepper, and then I have a honey barbecue seasoning that it's from the Flavor God. If you guys want to make this recipe and don't have that, don't worry about it. You can totally skip on adding this seasoning, but I know they sell like barbecue rubs or something like that. If you have that, go ahead and use that, but if you don't, just any of your favorite seasonings will be fine. And if you wish to add black pepper, I added about 1.5 tablespoons and then gave everything a good mix. My wings are defrosted. And then I'm going to be using a baking rack, and not really, this is cheating, this is like for my toaster oven. I do need to buy a baking rack. But pretty much what I did was I put aluminum foil, and then I did use some baking cooking spray so that nothing sticked. And then I ended up transferring them to a different bigger tray because this one was just, it wasn't it. And then I'm just putting the wings the fat side down, skin side down, and then I'm going to be baking this in the oven at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes. And then in a small saucepan, I'm going to be adding 2 ounces of butter, and I'm going to let that melt. I'm going to be adding 1 cup of this barbecue sauce that we just got, and it's a new one. This was our first time trying it. I do recommend you to let your butter melt. For some reason, I thought it had melted, but it didn't completely melt, but it still ended up working. You just want to make sure that your butter is melted. I feel like every time you make a wing sauce, you have to add butter. This is the barbecue sauce that I'm using. It's pretty good. It's honey habanero, but I don't know where the habanero went. It just wasn't in the bottle, or they forgot to add it, but it was not spicy at all. So what I ended up adding was, just to flavor it up a little bit more, I added about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, as well as 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and then gave everything a good mix. And then I am going to have to add a little bit more of my favorite hot sauce, habanero sauce. I ended up adding the rest of the bottle. It wasn't very much, probably about 1 tablespoon at the most. And I felt like that gave it more flavor. But definitely if I make these again, I feel like I would need to add way more hot sauce just to get it like a good kick. When you think of habanero wings, you want it to have a good kick. But the wings were still delicious. And pretty much once this is all combined, we are going to brush it on the chicken wings once they're out of the oven. So this is what the wings look like when they are out of the oven fully cooked. I did put a few of them to the side for any of us who didn't want them with the sauce. Since all this week I had been cooking and the previous week for my in-laws and for my brother-in-law, I just wasn't sure if they wanted some plain. And also too for my girls, sometimes they don't want it with a lot of sauce. So I just put a few to the side, and then I started brushing the barbecue sauce. I did add it to the top and to the bottom, and then I placed these back in the oven for about 15 minutes. If you just want to place them in for about 10 minutes, you can do that. But I feel like 15 minutes gave it a really good sauce. I try not to put too much of the sauce, but just enough from the top and the bottom. Then earlier I think I said it was about 30 wings. I think it was about 38 wings in total that I made. And then here I am placing them back at the oven for about 15 minutes. I said 10, but it's more 15. And then to serve this, I had some celery and carrots chopped up with some ranch, and I plated it up like this. And then also too on the side, it felt like more like an appetizer, but it was really good. Everyone really enjoyed it. We had some frozen fries from Rally's. I did purchase these at Walmart, and my husband helped me cook these up. And if you haven't tried these fries, they're pretty much well seasoned and black pepper, but I do have to be honest, I feel like the ones from Rally's or Checkers, as other people might know it, do taste better. But we just had that simple, easy dinner. It makes you feel like you're eating at a restaurant, and it was a fun dinner, and that's what we had on that day. So on this day, we did go to Costco, and we got some groceries, and just to make it an easy, simple dinner, I purchased this Caesar salad kit to make a quick side salad, and then we did get some pizza. Like my dad always says, you buy a lot of groceries and then you buy food. That always cracks me up. But in my defense, I did have the girls with us, and every time we go to Costco, we cannot leave Costco without a pizza, a hot dog, or something from there. And this is what we had. I had a pepperoni pizza, and then the Caesar salad, and that Caesar salad was really good. It had like a special seasoning on top, and then the little salad topper that I like to add, and that was dinner on that day. Easy and simple. So on this day, I did mention in my Costco haul that I was going to be making some Mexican hot dogs. Now to these Mexican hot dogs, I'm going to be making some grilled onions and some grilled bell peppers. I don't grill the veggies all the time. Sometimes we just like to add fresh raw onion and tomato on top. I noticed that in my fridge I had a ballpark hot dog, so I wanted to use that up as well. And then these are the beef hot dogs. These are my favorite ones that I pick up from Costco. It comes in a 3-pack. I put one in my fridge and I'll freeze the rest. And then some bacon that I had in my freezer. So I'm going to start by adding a little bit of olive oil to the pan. And then I sliced up that whole big onion, and then also to about 2 to 3 bell peppers. This is the first thing that I start doing because I want to grill this like on a low heat, just so that everything grills up and caramelizes. I also add some black pepper and as well some salt, and then I just put this on a low heat and stir quite often. And the reason that I use so much onions and peppers is that this is gonna shrink down and it's gonna become less, so that's why I like to add that whole onion and that whole bell peppers that I added. So pretty much the Mexican hot dogs, they're wrapped with bacon. So you just grab your hot dog and just like that, you just wrap it up with the bacon. Some even Mexican stores sell them to you like this, but I always, it's pretty easy. And then I do make a few of the hot dogs without the bacon because some of my girls don't want the bacon wrapped around. And then I know I shouldn't be touching the food like that. I don't know why I didn't grab the tongs. It was kind of like a little fast move. But yeah, anyways, here, this is what my husband's looks like all plated up. Once the hot dog is fully cooked, you just want them to get nice and golden. Once the bacon looks like it's cooked from the outside, it's cooked from the inside too. And it just switches up your hot dog. So to his, I added ketchup, mustard, the bell peppers, and the grilled onions. And then we were going to make French fries, but we ran out of time, so we added just chips. And then this is going to sound weird to some of you, but a lot of Mexicans add mayo to their bread, like hamburger bread, hot dog bread, If you like mayo, give it a try. It's actually really good. And then I did warm up the buns. This is what the hot dog with the bacon wrapped up looks like. Really, really good. And if you have leftovers, you can make them with eggs. That's usually what I do. So I add the hot dog to the bread. And like I said, the buns were nice and warm. And then I like to add ketchup to mine. And instead of mustard, I do like to add relish. So one of my favorite things to do is plating up food, so that part was pretty funny, the relish. And then here I just added the grilled onions and the grilled peppers, and then on top we added some jalapenos. Sometimes we'll add jalapenos, sometimes we won't, but I feel like it gives it a really good flavor, gives it a little kick and a little pickled taste, and it just goes so good all together. Instead of chips, I did have some of the leftover celeries with carrots, and then I just put some ranch on the side, and that's how I had it. I really enjoy these hot dogs. Like I said, it switches things up, and it gives it a good crunch and a good flavor to it. So this is what my hot dogs look like all plated up, and this was dinner on this day. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's What's for Dinner. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. For more videos like this, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I do have a playlist if you guys want to see more of these What's for Dinners, and I do share these every Friday. Feel free to share this video with your friends and family. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.